Hello everyone and thanks for joining. So today I'm having a look at this Roco model. Now I've gone back to HO scale. Recently I've been doing some garden railway models which are in G scale, so they're quite large. This is back to the normal size of HO. This one is number 8504A and it's a German tram, so we're going to have a look at that today. This is quite a long model, but I can see that it is articulated into 3 parts. It comes in this usual Roco box. I bought this secondhand. It does have some scuffs on it and a bit of wear here and there on the box. I'm hoping the model's going to be okay. I can see that there's a little bag with some extras. Let's get this open and have a look. So it's held very securely here in this polystyrene tray. It's got a bit of plastic here to help get this part out, but it doesn't have it on the other 3 parts. And this is indeed a little bag that has some extra parts in it. So it looks as though it might be some couplings and what looks like maybe an extra brake wheel or something. It could actually be a wing mirror. So we'll have a look at that in a minute, but you can see that this has been opened before. Let's see if we've got all the parts and we'll come back to this. So let's see if we can get this out of the box without breaking it. So the model does come with these instructions and it gives a little bit of history about the tram car here. Some information about how you can switch this between overhead or 2-rail pickup. That's quite interesting. It picks up from the pantograph. Inside is quite a lot of instructions here with extra parts you can fit onto this and also some transfers as well. I'm guessing some of this has already been done. There was no transfers in this box and it's got details here about where the motor sits in this model. So it's interesting. It's got these instructions here about how to keep this well serviced, and I can see here as well it's got information about a bulb, so I guess it must have lighting as well, which is really cool. And on the back here it's talking about lubricating the gearbox in the little drive bogie. So straight away, one of the things you'll notice about this model, it's really quite an attractive looking thing, and it also has quite a lot of articulation, which is great to get round tighter corners. There's a lot of detail here, even though this is a smaller than normal model. Now I can see here at the back, for some reason this isn't glazed. I'm not sure whether that's fallen out. I'm going to have a look and see if it's inside the model. So looking here at the front of the model, you can see it's very attractive looking tram. It's got the number there, which is 3127, and it's got a destination board and the route number of 8. And you can see it has a driver inside there. It's very clear glazing. It's got some windscreen wipers molded into the plastic, and this windscreen also is offset. It's probably prototypical as well, so it's nice that that's been molded in there as well. And here on the top of the driving car there's some details which have been added. I saw that in the instructions, so I guess somebody else has already fitted these little parts here. They could very easily get broken off, so you need to be very careful with that. And it also has this sprung pantograph, and we saw in the instructions that power could be picked up from the overhead with this pantograph, but even in spite of that, it's very detailed and attached to the body with a screw there that you can see. There's not a lot of other detail on the roof on top of this tram. There's a couple of hatches on the middle car and also on the end car, and another little additional part put up here. This could actually just be maybe a horn or a bell or something like that. And at the back end you can see it also has the number 8 and the running number there. The glazing is very clear on this and it is quite thick, so you are seeing a little bit of distortion there on the bottom of the window, but it is very clear. You can see straight inside and you can see that it has some seating there. No passengers on this tram, so it looks like the driver's all alone there driving along, but it's quite good that you can see inside and it's got a very detailed and nice interior. But one of the things that really catches your eye is the paintwork on the outside of this tram in this really attractive cream colour, and it's got some green lining which is done very well. It's not blurry at all, and it has also this red section here with the writing down the side. Now I don't speak German, you probably know this already if you watch my channel, but I can guess that this is talking about going to the station perhaps, and it's an energy saving way of doing it. This articulated part here is quite neat. It also has the printing on it which lines up very nicely, and it also has the running number, and that's mirrored with the other articulated part here as well. And you can see that it has this black part here as well between the articulated part and the rest of the body, and that really helps to disguise the amount of articulation here. It's probably prototypical as well. I did mention about this window missing here, and as we've gone down here I did actually see something in the middle car. It looks like the window there, so I think that's fallen out. I'm going to try and repair that. Looking underneath this model, they're very small bogies. They do run on HO track. These the front one here has some traction tires on all 4 wheels, and you can see the plastic gears there. The motor's sitting here underneath the model. It does hang down a little bit, so you can see that. It's silver obviously, so this might benefit from a bit of black paint onto that just to to hide it a little bit. But you can see further down that these bogies are attached to the articulation part, and you can also see through these holes that there are cables running the length of this tram. So I'm guessing maybe it picks up power from these bogies. Just here there's a hole in the body, and that is also mirrored at the front, and I'm thinking the little parts that we saw in the bag are maybe just dummy couplings that just fit into there. So now looking at the other side of the tram, you've got the doors here. Now the doors are only on one side of the tram, and you can see that it has some additional transfers here, warning panels, and it's got a destination board here on the window. The doors look really good. They look as though they should open, but they don't actually open. They're just molded into the main body of the plastic. They're certainly very convincing, and even the windows have these bars going across them that have been molded into the plastic. And just looking at the back again, you can see that it has these red blotches to indicate lighting. So it doesn't have lights in the back of this tram, but it could be that these could be swapped out for something like LEDs, which would really improve the back of this tram. At the front, it does look as though we maybe have lights on this. Those are clear lenses there. So I think maybe what we should do is put this on a test track, see if we can get it running and see what happens. Here it is on a bit of test track. Now it was actually quite tricky to get that on. The wheels are very small and the bogies are quite well hidden underneath the bodywork. But I did manage to get there in the end, so let's give it some power and see what happens. Well, that's great news. This runs really well. It crawls along at a really nice slow pace, and it has no problems gathering speed as well. I noticed the lights on the front also work. I don't think they got picked up in the video, but they do definitely work. I did notice there was a slight tick tick kind of sound when it was going along, but the motor is very quiet and it does run really well. I think we should open this up, have a look at the mechanism, and also see if we can fix that window at the back of the tram. So looking underneath this model, there is only one screw that I can see, which is here. Now I would be tempted to think that that was to take this apart, but having looked at the instructions, I see that that is where you switch between overhead and two rail pickup. So that's not how you get it apart. I think you just prise it apart and it should just pop out the bottom. I'm hoping that's the way to do it, so I'm going to give that a go and see what happens. So that was really easy to take apart, so I'm really happy about that. They prise open very easily and then they just pop off. It's such an easy model to take apart. Now we've got it apart, we can see a couple of the things here that are quite interesting. I mean, the first thing obviously is that the window for the back is sitting right here. So that's great, we've got that part. I'll put that back in a minute. On the chassis you can see that the seating doesn't go all the way across. So there is room for improvement here if you wanted to detail this. This floor is quite a simplified thing, but you do see that there's a hole right the way through it here and here and here. And also here on the back there's a number of holes as well in the floor. So you could fit another floor here and maybe improve the details on the inside. You can see the cables that run the length of the tram. I think the pickup happens at the front bogie here and it just transfers the power all the way down to the motor at the front here. You'll have seen this metal wire here, so that is for pickup from the overhead, and that works quite nicely. There's no cables between the two, so it makes taking this apart really easy. Underneath here there's a metal panel here, and there's also this contact that runs the length of the body. So the power just comes down from the pantograph to this metal part, runs along here, and this rubs against it and transfers the power down into the motor. So quite a simple affair, but I think it'll work good enough. You can also see that the glazing here is quite a lot of plastic underneath here, and actually forms part of the little clips which hold the body onto the chassis. So that's quite a neat thing they've done there to maybe reduce the cost to make this model, but certainly it doesn't seem to detract from the exterior of the model. And you can see the windows are very flush fit, and they've even got these little black surrounds as well. You could improve this slightly just by taking these windows out and painting the inside surrounds of these windows just to get rid of that little yellow lip that's in the inside there. But that's really a minor thing. I think it's quite good already out the box. So the motor is underneath this part here. There's a couple of screws holding it on, and then underneath the motor should just drop out. Not sure if you can see it on the video here, but there is a drive shaft between the motor and the front bogie to drive all these gears. It seems very delicate. I kind of don't want to mess with that because there's nothing wrong with it. It runs really well. I don't need to take it apart to fix anything of that. So I'm just going to leave that for this video, but it'll give you an idea of what we've got here in terms of interior seating and how the motor fits in. And you can see the lonesome driver here with his hands wide apart for some reason. But you will notice there's no details about any controls here. So there's an opportunity, I guess, to add in some extra detail if you wanted there. And down here, just tucked under there, is the light bulb. It was working, thankfully, but it does look like a bit of a pain to get that out. So I'm glad it does work and we don't have to replace it. One of the things I'm noticing as I'm handling this is it is quite a strong model. If I do that, you can see that it doesn't bend that much. These parts are made of metal, so that really helps the structural rigidity of this model. So that's quite a good feature that Roco have decided to do there. And the attachment to the two bogies in the middle is very good as well. Even though it's articulating there isn't a lot of play in it, and it's certainly strong enough to hold its own weight. But we took this model apart to fit back in this window into the rear of the tram. It goes on this side here. These parts here face downwards, so I think it'll just clip in. So it fits in quite easily into here, but there's nothing really holding it in. It looks like it maybe should have been attached to this part here on the inside, but it's come away and just fallen out. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of glue on that and just glue it back in. So I'm going to glue this back into the model. Now, one thing to remember when gluing clear plastic into your models is to use the right glue. If you use something like super glue on this, you've just frosted it up and it looked terrible. And even using something like polystyrene cement, like the normal Humbrol stuff I use on models, would also possibly have the same effect. What I use instead is this stuff. It's called Formula 560 Canopy Glue. Now, I'm not paid to advertise this product, but I do actually find it really good. I bought this tube of glue ages ago and it's lasted me forever. Used it, as the name suggests, to fix the canopy to the model, and it hasn't caused any problems. It dries clear and it doesn't cause any frosting. So I'm going to use that here to fix this model. So as normal, don't apply glue straight to your model. I'm going to put a little bit on this piece of paper here, or maybe a big bit on this piece of paper, but you don't need that much. So I've just put a small amount on the bottom of the window there. I'm also going to put a bit on the top. So it's going to be a bit tricky to get this in, so I'm going to use some tweezers. Okay, so that's gone in quite well. Now this glue isn't quick drying, I need to leave it for a little while. So I'm going to get a cup of tea and then come back and put this back together. Check it out. Okay, some time has passed and I'm hoping that the glue is dry now. I'm going to put this back together and I feel as though it should be quite an easy thing to do. So start off with the main front compartment. One thing to remember obviously is to get the doors on the correct side. And there we have it. So let's find out how much this model weighs. So all in, this model weighs 267 grams. Okay, so now the model's back together and I'm pretty happy about how it runs. We did notice that there was a little click happening on probably some of the gears. It might need a little bit of oil on that just to get it going. I'm actually quite pleased with the performance of it as it is. So overall, I think this is a great little runner. The obvious big appeal of this model is the character of the tram itself. The front of the tram looks really cool. It's even got lights and the driver is standard. What also adds to the appeal of this model is the great colour combination, and the painting is done really well. There's a lot of crispness in the application of the colours, and the writing on the side of the tram is clear as well. When it was new, it came with a number of different optional extra parts that you could put onto this, including different destinations and line numbers. You can see that it really enhances the model with these little extras. It's one of the simplest models to take apart, so it's going to be very easy to put some passengers in here, which I think it really needs. The driver's so lonely there on his own. It looks quite sad for him that he doesn't have any passengers in the tram, so it would really benefit from that. I guess the windows could be a bit delicate because, as you saw, one had already fallen out when it came to me, but they seem to be easily fitted back in. Just remember to use the correct glue. So overall, I think this is a great model. If you're modelling German trams, it would be a no-brainer to add this to your collection because it's really cool. I haven't seen one of these before anywhere else, and I think this is quite a rare model. So it's been a real pleasure to have this model today, have a look around it and run it on the test track. So if you fancy one of these models, I think you're probably going to have a look on eBay because it is quite an old model. I don't know whether it's still in production. I have a feeling it probably isn't. But if you do find it, I think you'll really enjoy this model. So have a look out for it and get it if you can. I hope you found this video interesting and you liked my analysis of this model. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and if you've got one of these, let me know. I'd love to know about it, especially if it comes in some different colours as well. Please consider giving this a thumbs up as it really helps my channel, and you can subscribe for more videos like this or even videos about real trams on my channel on YouTube. Thanks for watching though. See ya!